Management Research. Hello and welcome to the Management Research podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Eugene. Hello and welcome to the next episode in our mini-series dedicated to the topic of psychological games as suggested by the psychoanalyst Berne. In our previous episode, I made a short introduction and told you about the roots of his theory, of the theory by Berne. And in our today's episode, I'm going to explain you the main three entities that you have within your head and that actually define how the conversation will run. Here we need to know two things. The first one is that actually if you want to apply the theory by Berne, you have to go to the meta level of a conversation. To understand what happens, it's not about the things that are said, it's about how they are being said, what is behind it, and this what is behind it is the meta level of a conversation. So in order to apply his theory, you'll have to make a step aside and have a look at your conversation. And then you will discover what actually happens there and who is talking to whom. The more often you will do it, the more trained you are, the faster you will manage to do it. And once you will manage to do it immediately without any additional efforts, just on the go, you will understand who is now talking to whom in this conversation. So we come to the second point, to this who is talking to whom. And Berne suggested that actually we have three entities that live within our heads, the three different ego. Ego from the Latin language means I, so we have three different I's that live within our head. So each time he talks about a conversation, it's not about a conversation of John and Jane, it's the conversation between one of these three entities within the head of John and one of these three entities within the head of Jane. And Berne said that the first entity that we have, the first ego, is the child ego. Because we all used to be children, we know how it looks like, what it means. It is the felt concept of life. We try to discover the world. We are provoking, we're playing, we are kind of make things jokingly. This is the child in us who behaves in this way. If you don't know, if you don't understand what I mean by that, just look at how children play and why they do it. They do it just for fun. They are provoking each other, sometimes being a bit aggressive and sometimes doing some weird things. But anyway, this is the behavior that happens within our head, and I will give you later some examples about about where you can find this behavior in your adult life. The second related ego is the parent, because we all have also parent in us. This is the taught concept of life. You have been taught to be a parent. You observe it in your family, you observe it in other families, and you know how the parent should behave. Those who take care, those who think about the others, those who speak about the others. And if you want to see what is the parent, you just have to go to the place where kids play and the parents sit on a bench and just see how they are talking with each other, how they talk about their children, how they show the pride, how they show that they're dissatisfied with something. This is kind of a bit being higher than the children, being at a different level. This is what conceptualizes, what explains how a parent thinks. And finally, the third ego is the ego of an adult. So we're all adult. This is the analytical or thought concept of life. And we can talk to each other as I'm talking now to you, telling you something. You write me comments and I try to respond to your comments, or write me emails and I try to respond to your emails. We do it at the level of two adults. You ask questions, I answer them. I ask questions or ask you to specify something, you respond to it. And then we're kind of have the conversation of two adults. The same what happens if two adults are talking about something related to, for example, their work. Now, the idea is that this parent, adult, and child, they came to play in many conversations, not only with the kids, not only within your family, it can be somebody whom you know very well. And I'm going to give you some examples. Again, it is not about the words being said, it's about how they have been said. And one example could be, hey, I haven't seen you for a while, how are you? I'm fine, how are you? Where have you been? I had vacations, now I'm back to work. Great to see you again. What do you think about drinking a beer? Yeah, great idea, let's drink a beer. This would be a conversation of two children. The one happy to see another one, they want to provoke, they want to play, they want to exchange information, they do it for fun. This conversation would happen between the two children. Another example would be the conversation between two parents. Hey, how are you? I'm fine. How are you? Also fine. What do you think about this new initiative of our managers, what they want to do? Don't you think it will hurt our subordinates? Yes, absolutely sure, it will hurt the subordinates. Think about them, what they're going to do. It will have impact on how they feel, and this will destroy the motivation within my team. Yeah, and within my team too, we have to think about how to increase the motivation of our employees. Absolutely. Do you have any ideas? Let's try, I tried something. You can also try, let's say, the strategy A. Yeah, by the way, try strategy B and it also seems to work. Here we'll listen how two managers talk about their subordinates. They talk as parents, as if they talk about the children playing in the courtyard. So this would be the conversation of two parents. It can also be a different conversation, like a parent to child. Hey, Mr. Smith. Yes, sir. Could you please do the work I need it for tomorrow? I have tomorrow a meeting with our CEO. I need to show the results from our department, how the strategy is evolving and whether we meet our KPIs. Yes, sir, absolutely. I'll do it till tomorrow and everything will be done. This would be an example of conversation of a manager with a subordinate, but the conversation would be at the level of a parent and a kid. So I tell you what to do and you immediately do it. The parents, when they talk to children, they actually tell them what to do without much of explaining. And the final conversation would be two adults. This is the usual conversation that you usually listen if you go to an office. Hi, how are you? All fine? All fine. Did you make the analysis that we needed to make? I'm still missing some information, but tomorrow I'll get this information. Did you do your work? Yeah, absolutely. My project is running fine, so everything is good. So this will be a conversation of two adults. Nobody is talking about somebody else like the other employees. Nobody is provoking each other. It's just a regular communication where people exchange important information about the work. Next time, when you think about the conversation, or if you have a conversation, try to step aside and think who is talking to whom, because it will be an important point for our next episode, where we're going to go about the conflicts, how they are appearing, and a bit later about the psychological games and what they are and why they are appearing. I hope it was interesting. Wish you all the best and see you in the next episode. Bye bye.